Nah, wait a minute.
Feels like the Brady Bunch. There we go. Yeah.
What's up, guys? Big happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to the Faction Reloaded. Of course, I'm Gerard Bonner. I've got a great crew with me. We have so much to get into in what I am considering a supersized edition of Faction Reloaded. So, of course, Councilman is here. Councilman Will Ferrell, how are you, kind sir?
I'm tired, man. It's been a long week for you, Councilman. It just it looks like it's gonna be that way getting to WrestleMania and probably through the remainder of the year. So again, that's why this is an extended edition of the Faction, because
yeah. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing. And it's actually my honor because I've never had the chance to formally introduce him in this way, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'm sure has vested interest in the road to SummerSlam, and we'll get into all of that and much, much more. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my esteemed honor to officially present Sir Jimmy Femi.
You are welcome. Yeah.
Hey, sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes I think we need to start just doing that. When people say, "Hey, thanks for coming," you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
It is. It's a treat for me to be here.
Listen, you're glad to have me. Yeah,
you are glad to have me. Because think about it. All of us have wonderful personalities. Who would not?
Yeah.
Start saying that about yourselves.
That's the way.
You're in my presence for free.
How about that? Shout out to Boza, who's hanging out with us, and to all who will be joining us, and to all who will check this out on the replay. Got a shout out, of course, Lovely. Shout out to Wrestling with Honey. I'm sure they are watching from parts unknown. And they might pop in at some point, so who knows? But there
is Honey somewhere in the Mid East?
I see.
No, she's at a birthday party, which I don't want to be this person, but at what point do you stop celebrating your birthday?
Oh boy!
Like I think past 70, like you should just be like, "Hey man, I'm here, appreciate it." Like
70.
Thank you. I got my little cake. Like, I is it maybe you know what? Maybe I'm scarred because I don't celebrate birthdays like that. But I feel like when my grandpa turned 95, I just called him. And that was more than enough for this man. We talked for an hour.
What if Honey's whole camp is watching this right now?
Right.
They probably are.
Yeah.
So let me just go ahead and tip the plane even more down. Why is Lovely never here when I'm going to talk shit about CM Punk?
I just want to say that the thoughts and views of Will Ferrell do not specifically represent all of the Bonnerfide radio.
You know, Sir Femi, we are used to having to do that.
Yeah.
I see we're gonna have to bring that back.
All jokes aside, man. Shout out to her mother-in-law. She is celebrating, I think, 70 years. Oh man, it's definitely supposed to be celebrated. I'm not checking that still stands.
So, of course, last week we were off because, it was Juneteenth Part 2. And so those were in celebration. But when we were last here, we didn't realize that it was starting 2 very interesting weeks relative to championship changes at the tops of several companies. So it started, of course, 2 weeks ago with Night of Champions. You had Sami Zayn shocking the world, becoming the WWE champion over in Saudi Arabia. The next day, we had Nick Nemeth winning the TNA World Championship from Mike Santana. Of course, you also had Kendall Gray winning the NXT Women's Championship from Lola Vice. Then we fast forward to this past Monday. This past Monday, Sami Zayn was scheduled to defend the WWE Championship in Chicago on Monday Night Raw against Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes would be knocked out unceremoniously by a very bitter Gunther, and that would lead to us trying to figure out who would Sami Zayn defend the WWE Championship against on Monday Night Raw. Now, here's the problem with having a show like this in a place like Chicago. Chicago is never a place that's going to chant any other name other than CM Punk. And as luck and fate would have it, championship opportunities apparently fall from the sky in the Windy City. And my goodness, who would be the mysterious person that was already in the building to get a title shot? CM Punk. A few minutes later, CM Punk is the WWE champion. Now, there's another title change that we'll get into, but I first want to spend time here because a lot of the wrestling world has been talking about this particular title change. And I mean, not just the internet wrestling community, wrestlers, all kinds of people have had a lot to say about CM Punk winning the WWE Championship. So first, I want to ask, when you first saw this, how did you feel when you first saw that CM Punk beat Sami Zayn for the WWE Championship? I'll start with you, Sir Femi.
When I saw that he was defending, even with the initial defending against Cody Rhodes, I said, nah, CM Punk's walking out of there with the championship. Okay?
Oh, wow. Okay.
I knew it then. You're not moving. This is Chicago. CM Punk has to have a transition from Raw to SmackDown. So this is a coronation. This is a wedding. This is a graduation of sorts. And we talked about this on the last show. And the councilman was so adamant about Sami Zayn being the world champion, going into SummerSlam. Sami Zayn defending against Kevin Owens possibly at WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. And that man didn't make 2 weeks. This man had 9 days because they were like, cool story, bro. We got to sell SummerSlam tickets and we got to get the big boys in there. So I knew when they announced that he was wrestling Cody, the belt's coming off of Sami. It's in Chicago. They got to make money in Chicago. And what other entity, what other entertainer has such a tie to a city like CM Punk has to Chicago?
True. Very
like
true.
It's maybe Kobe in LA. I can't think of another entertainer who has such an allegiance. These people, no matter what happens, CM Punk in some type of way has to show. It happened in WWE. It happened in AEW. I mean, it's where if it's Chicago and it's wrestling, CM Punk is there. It's going up. So you knew it. You knew it when he got. You know when Cody got jumped by Gunther at the beginning. All right, here's the tie-in. We got to find an opponent, and the champion doesn't get to know who the opponent is. Your champion's got to wait 3 hours to find out who his opponent is in Chicago for the World Heavyweight Championship, even though we just had a king of the ring. We had a whole 2-month tournament to try to define who the next championship matches are going to be for SummerSlam. And this guy wasn't anywhere there, but it's Chicago. And we got to sell SummerSlam tickets. So we knew what was happening. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing, the same type of stuff that CM Punk had a pipe bomb about 15 years ago, but it's different when he's the beneficiary of it. It's different when the rules fall to his favor. It's different when he doesn't have to do the work, when he doesn't have to be here every week, when he's talking about being a fighting champion. And the last time we saw him prior to this, was on SmackDown talking about Cody Rhodes' belt at the time. He's benefiting from the same thing that he got on the top wrestlers for. I'm not going to call him a hypocrite at all because he came back and said, I'm here. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. He told you that when he came back. But this is who he is. And this is what we got. Now, I don't know if I like it or not. I don't even care because I knew it was going to happen.
Okay. Councilman, did this move surprise you that CM Punk is the WWE champion?
Does it surprise me? No. Not really. It's, you see what it is. Like, we got to sell tickets, and Sami Zayn can't close out night one, apparently. So we know where his stock really is at, even with him holding the belt. And even seeing what they did this past Friday, where it's like, oh, I'm taking a mental health break. And I was like, oh, they're going to really just throw him to the side. There's no get back to this. I'm like, dang, they finna have him veer off to somebody else. And then I was like, oh, that's so trash. That's so trash. Like, that man was champ for an illustrious 316 hours.
That's stone cold of him.
Yeah, it is. It's very stone cold of him. And you know, speaking of which, if you would like to show this as well, Professor, you know, we just was shopping this around to see if, you know, I believe this could help out Sammy get back to his illustrious.
Sammy 216.
Sammy 216 says, I just lost my belt.
Well played. Well played.
Well played. But man, you know, it's, you know, it is what it is. It's understandable. We get why it was done. You got to sell. So we know that. What doesn't sit well with people is really two things. One, we as the IWC ain't shit.
Basically.
And CM Punk is the face of the WWE universe. He's a hypocrite. He's a liar. He is a manipulator. And he's fickle. Just as we are fickle into sitting here chanting Oba's name, then watch him get F5 3 times and people are screaming one more time. One more time. It's like, wow. We're cynical. We're all of those things. And if it was to captivate into a person, it's CM Punk. What is sad about it for me is that now it kind of taints the career of CM Punk. Because you were this guy, and I feel like I don't know why you didn't take heed from when Austin said, my biggest regret in my career was the night I shook Vince's hand at WrestleMania 17. I wish I'd have just kicked him in the nuts or stunned him right afterwards, because the downfall afterwards was one of his biggest regrets. Like the change in everything that people saw, because it's like, yo, in the same way, it's like, yo, y'all are the ones that go against the machine. You're the ones that like, yo, at the end of the day, I'm flipping the bird. I'm getting put in handcuffs. I'm not tripping because you can't stop me and you can't stop the universe. And then Austin sold out and it did not go well, if you remember. And then now it's the same thing. The voice of the voiceless is now the voice of corporate. The guy who's the everyday man, which is why I now see why you go to Chicago all the time. Because, you know, that's where the pop is going to go. But I'm curious as to where it's like, yo, how long does this ride last before there's going to be a major shift? Because I still will put my cards in again because I'm a dreamer. I would not be surprised if you see Sami Zayn as All Elite. I would not be surprised if you start seeing other folks deciding, hey, you know what? I get what WWE got to go through right now. I can't wait.
So I will say this. to this point. Obviously, they're having a hard time selling these SummerSlam tickets, and
$3,000 for nosebleed is a pretty tough swing.
Well, let me, for those who may not be aware, that is not necessarily hyperbole. There is a story that is out that says, as of yesterday, because I have not checked today, there were roughly 24,000 seats sold for night one. Very similar numbers for night two. And the kicker is that particular stadium happens to be a place that sells it's like 75,000 seats in that particular let me give you some exact numbers. The numbers I'm looking at, 22,000 for night one and almost 24,000 for night two. And this US Bank Stadium seats 70,000. So I wanted to mention that as we are 3 weeks away from SummerSlam, exactly 3 weeks. Go ahead and continue with your point, Sir Femi.
That's bad. We're talking about a third, a little less than a third, and you're 3 weeks out. But let's look at this, y'all. They paid for this. They overestimated their effect on the consumer and drove everything up. And then there's one particular piece that they have yet to equate in this equation, and that was John Cena's last year. It was John Cena's last ride. It was John Cena's heel turn. It was Cody's redemption for the heel turn. That's what drove it last year. Okay. John Cena drove WrestleMania last year. John Cena drove
AJ Styles, because that drives viewers. Those retirements that we saw come.
So without building up, and I know CM Punk moves tickets, Cody moves tickets, Roman moves tickets, but obviously not that much.
Do they? No, so that's the question. Do they?
Obviously not that much, but what could have happened between now and WrestleMania when you had a new flame that was being built up, when you had a star being built up that was right there handed to you, and he won the tournament to earn the right to be a headliner for a championship at this show that you're trying to sell tickets for, and everyone's been clamoring about who he should wrestle, and then he forfeits that and says, I could do that at any time. I'd rather wrestle Brock Lesnar.
And what was the point of King of the Ring then?
What was the point? And
same thing with Royal Rumble. So you're supposed to win the Royal Rumble and get the main event at WrestleMania. Nah, you're going to open the show.
Yeah.
But CM Punk going to close out the show. Like, what, like, yo, so, like, do you think we're dumb? Or do you think we don't care?
So what the fans are doing, because the only way you can tell them what's up is to not show up. And that's what's happening. They did a CYA concerning WrestleMania, even though WrestleMania was down heavily compared to the year before. But now, and the thought process was they're moving CM Punk into this championship match because they want to make SummerSlam bigger than WrestleMania. You're not even going to do that. Like, now 22,000 or 24,000 would be great if it was Madison Square Garden. It would be great if it was a basketball arena. But we're talking about you're trying to pack a football stadium in the second biggest show that you have, and the crowd at Royal Rumble in Saudi is going to be bigger than this. That's not good.
Let's throw a couple of. Oh, go ahead. I
was going to say just also too. Always when I hit record. Been quiet all day. As soon as I go, why are you cutting grass at 3 in the afternoon when it's the hottest during the day? Why are you outside right now? Come on, man. But I was gonna say, then it's also, to show some grace when it comes to this thing. It's also the fact of how many hands are in this pot. So you also have Fox Sports demanding that CM Punk come on. And so it's like, even the way it was described on SmackDown, where it was like, yo, this been in the making, and then, something happened to where it was like, yo, we needed to speed things along. And then there's an opportunity that came by. It was like, no, Fox was about to do something and they needed you to go ahead and make this jump. And it's like, what will it take for you to go ahead and make this deal official? And it's like, hey, if I got to go to SmackDown, let me go to SmackDown as a champ. Cody's leaving, so hey, let's do our SummerSlam thing. He goes, I start running SmackDown. We make this happen. So another thing good business. But aren't you supposed to be the voice of the voiceless? Aren't you supposed to be the man against the machine that don't go hey, none of that? Then too, if that was the case, why didn't you just say it? You've dropped plenty of pipe bombs before. Why not just be transparent about that? Funny how when it's time for you to be transparent about yourself, you learn how to really play this well. But when you're talking to Pat McAfee, when you're shouting out Matt Cardona, when you're talking to Gunther, you can fire off all of these personal shots and have no filter. But somehow when it's you, though, it's a great time to be at a Friday night on SmackDown. Like, all right, bro. All right. I ain't mad at it, but it's just like, hey, can one of y'all become a superstar and say that to him in a promo on SmackDown? Could it be Carmelo Hayes? Could it be a Trick Williams? Can one of y'all say that to CM Punk's face and then let it be known?
No, because when you do that, then you become Hangman Page. You know what I mean? And because Phil Brooks doesn't like the truth being shot to his face, especially when he's in cahoots with the high, so the backstage politics situation that he complained about for years is now the thing that he's benefiting from. But who's losing? We are, because we're not watching what we want. And once again, when the fans get tired of tweeting, when they get tired of posting, they stop showing up and the numbers get lower. And all of a sudden we get reports that SmackDown's numbers are lower and Netflix's numbers are lower, and we're not buying the tickets and merch is going down. Man, everything's going up. This is a luxury. This is a luxury, y'all. And everything around us in life is going up. When you make the thing that's supposed to give us pleasure, the thing that's a takeaway, the thing that helps us separate from the things that are going on in the world, and now we got to pay even more for it, and you're giving us less in what we don't like? No, it's not going to work.
So there's so many questions, which is why we're taking a little extra time with this. It's interesting to note that last year was the first 2-night SummerSlam. It was held at MetLife, which of course MetLife has previously hosted a WrestleMania. And last year's numbers were interesting. Night 1 had a little over 50,000 people. Night 2 had a little over 60,000 people. In either case, it did not sell out. Now we're at a space where the numbers here, there's an argument that it's actually rivaling what we're seeing for All Out in terms of numbers of tickets being sold. So here's my question. And I know we've talked about it in some other places, but I want to talk about it here. Does a 2-night SummerSlam make sense, literally and figuratively?
It did when you didn't have 73 PLEs happening throughout the year. Like if this was WrestleMania and we didn't have like a pay-per-view, except like maybe one pay-per-view from April till August, this would make sense, because then there's plenty of storyline for us to be able to get ready, curate for SummerSlam, which would make a 2-nighter make sense. Then on top of that, all you would need is maybe 3 more PLEs and you're done for the end for the year. And I don't think any of us really would have minded that, because then also they could have been where 2 hours, it's, hey, we're going to do at least 6 or 7 matches. It's like, cool. That's a full card. It's like, hey, but we charging this new TKO price. We're like, you know what? I don't mind it. And we're going to have the celebrity segments in the back again, the interactions and stuff like that. It's going to be a fun experience for you to be there for these 2 nights. And it's like, okay, you know what? Cool. I don't mind making that. Maybe, hey, then you sell out, because it's just like Paul Heyman said about Brock Lesnar. If you saw him every week, the magic would disappear. Because you don't, whatever you threw at him in life, no matter what it was, no matter what the opinions of this man was, because of that, and when that music hit, there is a major group that's going to stand up and roar. And the same could be said about this place, but again, it's just unfortunate because of the way the economy is, the way that this deal with TKO is set up, the things that they have to prove. They're in a constraint that is causing them to like have to make drastic decisions like this, because you're risking of, okay, I need to make this amount of money this year, and I'm putting all my baskets in Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, pause through maybe a Backlash, SummerSlam, Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, and I'm hoping that all can pull everything I need. They're like, no, everything. We go into Madison Square Garden. Now it makes sense why they go to Chicago 900 times and CM Punk gonna be there, because it's like, well, we guarantee to sell out there. We're guaranteed that it's gonna sell out.
Okay, to my point, last year, SummerSlam, 2 nights in New York, New Jersey, but basically New York. All right. You've got John Cena versus Cody Rhodes in a rematch. That's hot. They built that up. We want to see it. You've got still got the bloodline situation going off. They started off night 1 with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns and Jay versus Solo. Who's Solo's partner? I forgot. No, it was the Bronze. They wrestled.
The Bronze.
The Bronze. Yeah. All right. Naomi was red hot during that time. Okay. Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill, that match. Gunther and CM Punk as the main event, but then Seth Rollins comes back with the rules, cashes in. So you've got 5 or 6 different stories that are hot that we want to see over 2 nights, and we get to go to New York to do it. Who wants to be in Minnesota? Who wants to be in Minnesota in the summer? Other than that mall, what is there to do in Minnesota? What about Minnesota says summertime? Okay, before there'd be summertime in LA, summertime in New York, summertime in Miami, summertime in Minnesota.
Well, add to that this is a consolation prize for the WrestleMania they were supposed to have that got taken away and turned into a SummerSlam. So, yeah.
I have never desired, at any point, to go to Minnesota and see anything that Prince wasn't involved in. Like, are you gonna bring back the time? You know what I'm saying? Are we gonna have Jungle Love? What are we gonna? Is there a Paisley Park reunion? No, we don't want to be in Minnesota for 2 nights, and especially if you're rushing the content where there's only 2 matches that I really care about. And it's a shame because they got a roster full of ridiculous talent. But yet storylines matter. Matchups matter. The way we get to it matters. Yes, we want Oberfemi and Brock Lesnar, but give it to us in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Seth and Roman, okay, fine. But you just told us that the King of the Ring mattered. And now it doesn't. So we're not just gonna flip and just jump ship, even if we want to see that particular match. And then you got a Saturday night's main event right in front of it. Right. So it's like, okay, literally. So it's not precious anymore because you're treating it like it's another show, but yet you want us to pay for it like it's a WrestleMania. Now they're doomed that they asked for this. They asked for this. We're supposed to care about the all of these wrestlers, and we still like them, but we want them to be put in prime situations where the show makes sense.
So very oh, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I was going to say quickly, because this does somewhat relate. You've got that title change on Monday. Then we turn the channel on Wednesday, and we have MJF defending the AEW world title against Kenny Omega. If Kenny Omega loses, he never gets another world title shot again. Surely MJF won't be losing the title that he just won back from Darby Allin, right? Wrong. Kenny Omega is now the AEW World Champion. What do you make of that? And it's the first time that the WWE and AEW World Championships have changed hands in the same week. What do we make of Kenny Omega as the AEW World Champion and now heading, at least so we think, into All In to take on Will Ospreay? All Out. All In. Will Ospreay.
Can I just state, too, that this is the first time that 4 major championships are held by 4 40-year-olds.
Well, you were heading. I was going to make that point, but for those who don't know, that now you're jumping ahead. So let's just do that, right? No, all good, all good, all good. So this is a very unique space we're in right now. All of the world champions in all of the major U.S. promotions are over 40. Let me just break this down for you. You have, and this is the wild part, the youngest of which is Roman Reigns. At age 41, the world heavyweight champion. You have Nick Nemeth, who won the TNA world title. He is 45. Kenny Omega won the AEW world title at age 42. Of course, CM Punk is the WWE champion at age 47. My good buddy Mex from the UK often says, we don't have WWE or AEW problems. We have wrestling problems. So my question to you now is, what does this say about the current state of pro wrestling in the United States when the world champion in every major U.S. company is over 40? I'll leave that to start with you, Councilman.
I think it just shows you the state the economy is in right now, man. It's bad. It's bad. And what you're now seeing is everybody's net worth as a superstar. So, yeah, MJF is an incredible wrestler. He is incredible on the mic. He can get a crowd going. The crowd loves him. He is creative. Has anyone ever asked, can MJF sell out a show? See, once you start getting past that lure and you take off the rose-colored glasses, you start seeing who has stock in what. MJF has now been shown you're not someone that can sell tickets. He does not even have a branding deal. So you also are not brandable either. So now we go back to, okay, who's someone viable that everybody knows, that everybody has been, he's coming back from an injury. Now we got a story. Now we got some history. We know this guy can sell out. We know this guy can perform. So let's put the belt on him, even if it's a short amount of time, because that's what's going to sell tickets to All In, because MJF versus Will Ospreay is Sami Zayn versus Cody Rhodes to them. So now it's, hey, we need to get Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay to go blow for blow at Wembley. Same thing with a Nick Nemeth. Mike Santana, great personality, loved by the crowd. Performance, is starting to improve each time he's out there. Is Mike Santana a face for TNA moving into the AMC networking business and knows how to maneuver and needs what to be done there? Yeah. But he's a fan favorite. So his stock, you look at a Nick Nemeth, WWE training, has been a world champion in that state. So now with this new guard moving, it's like, hey, we need to put the people we know can do this, that we can have bring in money. Because right now, all of our belts are tight and we all got something to prove, because anybody can take the number one spot. If anything has been showing us, the number one spot for the in the wrestling industry is now up for grabs.
Let me point one other thing out, and that is that MJF headlined the first All In London that drew 83,000 people. So I can't quite say that he can't draw.
Right.
What question? Where did that happen?
Happened 2 years ago.
And he's
or
been
3
gone.
years ago. Was it 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
Because I don't think he can either. So that's what. But again, But again, same thing. I think Sammy could close out a night one and make sales. Same thing with an MJF. But these other folks are seeing this way differently. So I agree with you.
I think they wanted to get to Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay headlining. I don't think this is necessarily about MJF and his ability, because once again, he has done it. I think overall he's the best thing in the company. Going just completely, and they recognize that. But their goal was to get Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay to strike magic one more time in their biggest show. And so how we get to those particular places, once again, is silly. I love Darby Allin. I really do. But that was silly. Okay. That was silly, and that was nonsensical. All right. I know he's one of your pillars. There's a better way to do that, especially when you already knew months ahead that your end game was to get Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for your championship to main event your biggest show. So it's your MJF, who has done nothing but carry this company as much as he has. Whatever you have asked him to do, he's done it at a high level for you, and bringing credence back to that championship that was kind of marred when CM Punk was champion. So, now someone who is living and bleeding AEW literally has a tat on him. You know what I mean? So now you want to get it back off of him. Well, you could have done that in another way instead of losing on your main show, your main weekly show in Clearwater, Florida, to Kenny Omega. This is like, okay, this is just okay. If we want to build credence to what you're doing, it's the way you do it. Because now what do you do with MJF? What is the character arc? Because you're not just going to need a main event. You're going to need a packed show. So what do you do with him that doesn't make him look like a bozo because he just lost clean to Kenny Omega? Which is, there's no slight in losing to Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is one of the greatest in-ring wrestlers to have ever done it. But this isn't 2017 Kenny Omega either. Mm-hmm. This is 2026 Kenny Omega, which is more like Rainbow Tights Kenny than, if y'all remember Rainbow Tights Kenny, the theory is when he has on the Rainbow Tights, he's mailing it in. All right. You're not going to get the show. This is more Rainbow Tights Kenny because his body has been through everything. Mm-hmm. And now he's going against a trapeze artist, in the match in his home country. Okay. All right. Listen, I trust they're going to put on the show, but man, would have been nice if y'all would have built up somebody else and then have to rely on this. It would be nice if TNA had some, there's some other talent that's there. I understand why you have Nick Nemeth as champion, but the world doesn't know him as Nick Nemeth. The world knows him as Dolph Ziggler, and you can't use that particular name. So him being in the spot doesn't do that much for you because the name is as important as the person, and the name isn't built up yet. I don't, Nick Nemeth sounds like somebody I went to high school with. Hey, Nick,
most likely to succeed, Nick Nemeth.
Most likely to succeed.
He played on the volleyball team. All right, it's Nick Nemeth. He was a heck of a striker. But it's build the name, but the company that knows how to build names and build names quickly said, we'd rather have the old faithful in there. And whether it's Fox, whether it's Netflix, whether it's NBC, whether whoever the TKO, whatever the powers that be, it is way more political than it needs to be. And it's tiring. So when you watch a program like AEW, which isn't supposed to be political, now we're seeing it look like it's the things that happened at WWE is rubbing off on them too. So as someone who's on the other side of the 40, listen, God bless, but I would rather see young talent already built up and you go with it, especially one that was just your champion this past Wednesday. And
can I ask this though? What does that say though about the 4 people who are champions burying 4 younger talents?
Well, I mean, if you're going to give me the opportunity to do it, I'm not going to turn it down. I mean, listen, especially.
No, I mean, as a company, not the performers, but as a company, like even with Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker was the next one up, and y'all have reduced him to a tag team.
It does not only reduce him to a tag team, but now he's got to buy back the affection of Paul Heyman. Like what? What did he do? I mean, certainly the light of Obafemi has shined brightly, and it's, all of a sudden Braun isn't as big, but you are investing in him, and the audience, we're just going to demote him like that. I mean, right. literally, the face of the one that has a storyline right now is Austin Theory. And this man is just
Maxine Dupree was the MVP. Like, what is happening right now?
Maxine Dupree responsible for them, which I don't think enough people on the internet are talking about the fact that not only is Sami Zayn not champion and held the title for 9 days, but barely 2 weeks are the Street Profits as tag team champions.
Yeah. Well, I knew when Montez Ford was twerking in front of that security guard, as long as he did, it's like he knows the night is up. Yeah, they're losing the belt.
Yeah,
and if I'm that security guard, I'm suing because I did not show up to work on a Monday night to have this man thrusting in my face.
That was far too long a thrust. That was way too
long thrust.
Way too much.
Real quick, I want to answer a quick question from my man Il Fam from Black Wrestling Podcast. Shout out to you, good brother. He says, "Is MJF versus Andrade a big enough match to be on the Wembley card for AEW?" What do you guys think?
Yeah, big enough. Yeah,
absolutely. Main event, no, but
no.
On the card, yeah. And I think they would both have more motivation to go out there and try to steal the show, too.
Mm-hmm.
Which Andrade's been doing now. I don't know what happened in this run. Andrade switched gears, and that man,
and he's got a catchphrase.
Yeah, I was like, hey, bro, where was this superstar a couple of years ago? But hey, keep doing your thing over there, man.
So I want to ask one more question related to all these title changes, and that is this: does it matter when and where a title change takes place? Here's why I ask that. Sami Zayn and Nick Nemeth win their world titles on PLEs. The Night of Champions PLE is not necessarily the biggest PLE on WWE's calendar. Meanwhile, Slammiversary is one of the 2 big ones for TNA. We get a world championship change on Raw. We've had actually a world title change earlier this year on SmackDown. And we've had multiple world title changes this year on Dynamite. Does it matter where the world title changes hands? That's the question. Mr. Femi, Sir Femi.
Yes. Bless you. It all depends on how the story is written.
Okay.
It all depends on how it's being built up. If it's something that it should carry weight or to reset, because it's very important. If the weekly shows don't have validity, then it's tough to invest in the product too. We're not just here just to watch these wrestlers do promos on Collision or Dynamite or Raw and SmackDown and then just get to the PLEs. Now we need to have, content that makes sense, but it has to be believable. You already know if Cody's the champ and he's defending the belt against Tala Tonga on the episode of SmackDown, you already know the outcome. You know what I'm saying? And so having a situation like that taints the situation, but a title change of hand on a Saturday night's main event. Yeah. But what is the story going into it? And who are the wrestlers that are involved in it? And is this a believable thing going forward? Is this something that we can see ourselves, because we can like a wrestler, but we may not see a wrestler in a championship light. You know what I mean? So do they have a fair shot to win this? So let's evolve the character. I can remember just about 7 or 8 years ago when people were saying Liv Morgan wasn't ready to wrestle against Ronda Rousey for a championship. It's because of where she was in her character at the time. And now she's one of the top women in the business. So it certainly makes sense. So develop the characters the right way. Is there a following behind those characters? And is there something that we look forward to seeing? Then sure, it could be but my thing is, don't ruin a character, because if a wrestler loses that match, if it's a challenger and the wrestler loses that match, then we can lose interest in that wrestler. And it's not fair to that wrestler. Now, it's not fair if you do this to Carmelo Hayes a week before WrestleMania. It's not fair if you do this to Braun Breaker, losing clean a bunch of times. It's not fair to them, because these are the guys, when these old dudes break their Achilles and can't wrestle for 9 months, they're the ones that are going to be carrying your company, and we should believe in them as champions. So it's how they set it up. And I don't know if any of these companies are doing the best job in the world of doing that.
Will, what do you think? Does it matter when and where you win a world championship?
No, I think James said all this need to be said. It just really depend on the story and what it is. Like, to hype it up and say, like, yo, this is the first time in this amount of years that, like, the WWE Championship is going to be defended on Raw. It's like, okay, so you're doing that. Why not build that up? Why not be like, okay, hey, Cody Rhodes wants to do, no, not even Cody Rhodes, like, let it be CM Punk. Say, yo, man, I'm breaking it and I'm jumping the line. I want a challenge. And it's like, okay, cool, we're going to do it here. Do the contract sign, like, bump it up to where we get to like a Monday Night Raw that's in Chicago, or a Monday Night Raw that's in Madison Square Garden, where it's like, yo, this is the place you want to be, because this is the first time that we've done this. And then you include the story, like how you had with Cody Rhodes, just swap a few different people. You've now bumped it up. But like James said, when you were just telling me like, hey, man, I want my title rematch next Friday on SmackDown. Well, Drew is losing that. We know that's what the fuck is happening now. Drew's about to lose, because what are we doing? It's taking you 3 years to finally put the U.S. titles in PLEs, because you always make them get defended on SmackDown before the PLE. Now all of a sudden the WWE Championship is going to be defended next week. No promo, no setup. Yeah, this is a title change.
So it's unfair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we spent all of this time getting to this journey, and look at what could have happened Monday. First of all, is Raw. That's not a Raw title. That's a SmackDown title. But so we're defending the SmackDown title on an episode of Raw. Okay, so you already know what's about to happen. Sammy's about to lose. What could have been bigger for Sammy? Because we're saying Sammy's not a person that's been built up to that point. Do you want him to be built up to that point? Because you could have, especially if he would have come out of Chicago with a victory over CM Punk. Now we got Sam, and now the rematch at SummerSlam makes sense, and you can headline a night one with that.
Or to add it in, why wouldn't Gunther attack CM Punk too? Like, no, ain't nobody getting this title till I get a title shot. He beats Cody Rhodes to a bloody pulp and does not interfere in the championship match while he's there and choke out the champ. Like, come on. Like, all of it's written there, but no, because we're in Chicago and we need the social content. It's like, okay, now you start taking away from other people. Same thing with the MJF. Like, no one knew, like, the stipulation that was given to the way that the match was set up. It was like, y'all didn't give us anything to get prepared for this, like how you did with MJF and Hangman Page when we got to Revolution. Right. This one was like, oh, by the way, if you lose, you can't never defend for the title again. Like, well, wait a minute. That deserves a little bit of storyline before we do. And when this match happening next week, and where is it? Clearwater.
Clearly, like wrestling town.
Florida place.
Yes.
Wait, outside.
Outside. So, like, if I'm MJF, like, man, bro, like, how you just said, if I'm selling out Wembley, if I'm doing this, it's like, okay, yo, like, I get doing it for the company, but at what point is eating crow not making me look bad? Because losing to Darby Allin, I was like,
clean.
I did that to MJF that boy 96 pounds with a wet t-shirt and rocks in his pocket, and that's what got and he went on all four, and y'all were. I'm just saying.
If everybody has the belt, it lessens the belt. Something's got to be prestigious. And if it's changing hands in times like this, it's like now fans are going to be like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's champ. What matters is the big four. You know what I mean? And so, as much as I love Roman, Roman is one guy who doesn't need the belt. He can still headline without the belt. Cody can still headline without the belt. At this particular point, CM Punk should be able to headline without the belt. I want the new blood in the top spots. I want the new blood who are there. We've had great times with all these wrestlers. We've had great times with Kenny Omega. We have great times. We've got great history. Again?
Yeah.
Again. Come on.
Yeah, it's very, and this is why I say we have wrestling problems, because when all four companies or three companies, four world champions are all over the age of 40, it's not knocking life at over the age of 40, but it is saying when you have new stars that are at main event levels, it's not even like we're working them to main event. They are at main event levels. That we are not investing in. What does that mean? Because even with a Will Ospreay finally winning the world title, potentially at the end of August, we're still dealing with somebody at the top end of the 30s, like this is just kind of where we are. I will say this on the other side of the coin in terms of where people could or couldn't win world titles. I do think having a world championship change hands on a weekly television episode or what have you does get us back to the point of unpredictability. It does get us back to the point of saying, hey, let's at least watch the show to see what could happen. Now, granted, I don't know that the situation with so for instance, I think the Night of Champions thing was certainly unpredictable. I think the idea of having Sammy's first title defense on an episode of Monday Night Raw gave too much away potentially. And so, if the idea is to keep things interesting, then they should be really unpredictable, not with so many tea leaves that are given. I also remember, and some of you might remember, when world titles actually changed hands at house shows. Which again would be far-fetched these days. But, the idea is we've got to keep things unpredictable. But I think we have to redefine what unpredictable actually is. Unpredictable. What's that?
House show title change actually would go hard now.
I think so
social
too.
Media, that would actually be dope if you did that with and it could be like a person you didn't expect for it to happen.
Well, think about this. You remember when AJ Styles won the U.S. title in Madison Square Garden on a house show? Like, that's the last time we've really seen a championship change hands at a house show. So I think that'd be a move.
I remember when Samoa Joe beat Finn Balor for an NXT championship on a house show.
Oh, yeah.
So, so there's a way to do it. But everything that we're just talking about is the people behind the scenes wanting that to happen, wanting to put that particular wrestler. They didn't want to put Sami Zayn. So, so let's just go out of our way to get this off his hands. And it just dilutes the moments. And I don't know if it's a work or a shoot or not, but it seems to me like he's really taking this very, very hard. You spent all of your wrestling life trying to get to this particular point, and it gets wrested from you in 9 days.
We ain't seen Drew McIntyre either.
Well, and to that end, I also look at the wrestlers who had a lot to say on X. To me, and this is where things get dangerous in terms of people just everything is predetermined, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There were way too many wrestlers speaking out way too loud about this title change. And so what Sami Zayn said felt like he was speaking not just for him, but for a lot of other people when he said what he said. And I mean, the man cried, and I get it. Like, you wait your whole life to be world champion, and you lose it like that. Like, nobody's going to be the world champion forever. We understand that. Nobody's going to hold the title for 1,300 days anymore. We understand that. But Sami didn't get a successful title defense. Sami didn't get the joy of walking into SummerSlam as the WWE champion. He had that. And maybe we should have known the night he won the title in his post-match interview when he said, no matter how long I have this, nobody can ever take away from me that I'm a WWE champion. He said that 2 minutes after winning the title, which I don't know why one says that unless you have an inkling that perhaps this could be a short title reign. So that's a thing. There's so much more to dig into. I want to dig into this because season 7 of Dark Side of the Ring premiered this week, and Dark Side of the Ring happens to be one of my all-time favorite shows because of the stories they tell. And you start to wonder after a while what stories are left. Way more than we realize. So where last year, if my memory serves me correctly, they started with a really strong 2-episode premiere. I thought I remembered the subject matter. It may have left me. I don't know if it was the Owen one or not, but they started with a real hot one.
They started with Mick Foley's Hell in a Cell.
That started season 6?
Yeah, and then the second one was Ludwig Borga. Episode 3 was Big Van.
So maybe it was season 5 that started with.
Yeah, 5. I think 5 was the one with Chris
Owen or Benoit. Yeah.
No. Owen. No, I think Owen is the end, right?
I got to go back and check. But what I can say,
because season 5 is Earthquake is season 1, episode 1.
So what we know for sure is we started with a 2-hour-long episode of the Battle for TNA, Dark Side of the Ring, with part 3 hitting next Tuesday. Did you guys watch, and what were your takeaways? Councilman.
Man, Jeff Jarrett had a hard life, bro. Dude. Jeff Jarrett kind of almost make me feel like some of the current wrestlers right now and what they going through. Not from the personal wise and stuff like that, but it was just like, man, I didn't know all of that about TNA. Like, I knew there was a problem with like Dixie Carter, and there was like a lot of bad blood that happened in there, but it was like I didn't know like these plays were being made that way. And it's just like, wow. It always saddens me to see when someone who's doing something out of the love to elevate others gets stabbed in the back, gets thrown in a blender, and then thrown out to the street, and then pointed as if he's the one doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
This is a dude that was just like, hey, especially back then, because if you think about it now, no people have to really worry about this. Like, there was no alternative to wrestling. Mm-hmm. And then to see Vince fire Jeff on TV, on a TV, I was like, yo, that's why. And then now to know the context of it, and it was just like, man, it was just kind of sad to see, and then just like how it played out. And then we start seeing like the things with like him and supposedly like with Kurt Angle's wife, and then too to think about like what Kurt Angle was going through at that time, the neck, the medicines, like it was way more of an eye opener than I knew about TNA, and it was just like, dang man, is there any promotion where there's not a potential dark side of the ring episode looming?
Your thoughts on the season premiere of Dark Side of the Ring featuring TNA?
I have not been able to watch it yet. I will say, if as it relates to Jeff Jarrett, there are always going to be 3 sides to every story with him, and yeah, I'll be kind enough to leave it there. I've got some, I was about to say I have a bad taste in my mouth concerning Jeff Jarrett, but then that's pause worthy. I will say that WCW and its last day, and him being involved in his way, being involved in that last day, and then TNA and where it was in his involvement in that, certainly I'm not going to cast aspersions. I have to watch it. Let's see how that plays out. But once again, with that person, there's 3 sides to every story.
Very interesting. That sounds very, very loaded. I will say that apparently this is the first time that Karen Jarrett has spoken about. I
heard she was talking too.
Oh, she had a lot to say.
Okay, yeah.
She had a lot to say. I didn't see the second part.
She had a lot to say. So yeah, there's a lot to, here's the tough part about things of this nature. And, the tough part about, first of all, I happen to love a really good documentary. I love a good documentary. The thing to remember when it comes to a documentary is who's telling the story and from what perspective are they telling the story. So I don't know if there was any skin in the game that the producers had with TNA or not, or if there's just a story and they want to tell, and if we can believe the perspective of everything that's being presented to us. I think there were some very interesting things that came out. The idea that the top woman in that company was not being paid 1/10 of what the top man in that company was being paid is wild. The one thing that Awesome Kong shared was that, and that this is still wild to believe, that during that era when the Knockouts division was just revolutionary, she said that some of the Knockouts who had held the TNA World Championship had been getting paid so little money that they were working in bars. And one of them was apparently working in a bar when she appeared on television. And one of her customers said, "Isn't that you on TV?"
Wow.
And she responds with, "Yes, may I take your order, please?"
Wow. Wow.
It's really something. All while trying to recruit more former WWE stars, including Hulk Hogan. So very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm very interested in this third part, which will drop next week. I'm also interested in what it is about TNA that has made them last through all of these ups and downs. They are literally the little engine that would not quit. When you think about other companies, you think about ECW and what ECW went through, and WCW, companies who had more money, bigger backing, etc., have not lasted as long as TNA, and TNA is still with us.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think Jared said it best. I think Jared said it best though. Like it's they found their niche, they found their little bubble to put in, and all they really had to do was like what it was they didn't. It felt like when watching that documentary, what I've seen with TNA was like they didn't try to go get the world and go out to the world for TNA. It was like they built something and they figured out a way to let's see how we can bring these people into it. And then you take the mixture of like all of the superstars that you saw in WWE now over there, this new rising talent, a octagon ring, the matches that you're forming. It was like, I don't know too many other independent, like too many other promotions that can say like, yo, like they were able to always customize themselves to the times.
Yeah. And also fans of wrestling love wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are fans of companies, you know, but fans of wrestling love wrestling, and we want wrestling on every level. You know, yes, we want to see it, you know, in the football stadiums, but we also want to see it at the local armory.
Yes.
You know, we want to be in the crowd of 40 and 50 and 100 and watch it. And sometimes we just want to see talent in the ring just go at it, you know, without some big, you know, huge storylines. And so TNA brought that to us. It was an alternative from what we want to watch. There was a time, I will tell you guys, that I refused to watch WWE because I'm like, okay, if you're going to do soft porn, be good at it, you know? And so I stopped watching it because it was bad. You know, I don't want to see Vince McMahon making out with people. This has nothing to do with wrestling. So I stopped watching it, and I was only watching TNA for about a good 4 years. And they were in that ring putting it on. Okay, still one of my favorite matches ever is AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe with Christopher Daniels at TNA Unbreakable. They cooked. And so you had a place where wrestlers just didn't want to have a career. They want to wrestle. They didn't want to deal with all the politics and stuff. And then unfortunately, you know, when they brought in Bischoff and Hogan to foreclose the company again, this is like people were telling you, we didn't want that. That's the reason why WCW went under. You know, now you're going to do the same thing here. We don't want that. We don't want Vince Russo anymore. We don't want any of that. We want the good wrestling.
You got to watch this. Because you're going to get some answers to that. And it's like, wow. It just goes to show, though, that, again, we have wrestling problems. And it feels very much like that story mirrors things that we've seen in WCW, mirrors things we've seen in WWE. Long story short, when people in this beautiful capitalistic society that we're in, the idea of money, power, notoriety, you know, we're seeing some of it in AEW. It's starting to cool off, the AEW part of it, meaning, you know, there was a period where Tony Khan seemed to be satisfied being the silent investor. And then there's the moment when he's like, no, I got to be on TV, you know, and I got to be out in front of the crowd and things like that's starting to taper down a bit. But, you know, I don't know what it is about these seemingly silent investors that suddenly feel like they have to be all powerful and in front of it ruins every single company. It really, really does. So there's that. Very, very interesting. We'll certainly take a look at that more coming up this Tuesday. And if you have not watched it, they actually have it for free right now, I believe, on YouTube, where you can check out the episode courtesy of our friends over
part one.
Part one. Okay. Yeah. Part one. So if you have, you know, Vice TV or something like that, you can check out part 1 and 2 on demand and things of that nature. Let's quickly get into this. We saw a return last night on SmackDown. Kind of shocking, actually, for all of us talking about a lack of unpredictability. During the match between the U.S. champion Trick Williams, who now has a customized belt, against Carmelo Hayes last night, that match gets interrupted by the returning Baron Corbin. Your thoughts on the return of Baron Corbin seemingly inserting himself in the U.S. title picture? Sir Femi.
I think the End of Days is one of my 5 favorite finishes ever. It is so cold. I love it. I still think about when he hit Becky Lynch with it. That was fantastic. Oh, he laid her out. It was glorious. Not that I purport violence against women. I love women. Just wanted to say that felt fun. Hey man, let's shake it up. First of all, we got the plush belt going on. It's beautiful. What is that, velvet? We got the plush belt. We got the white fur on it. I don't know how they're gonna keep that clean, but God bless them.
Right.
But if you're gonna build up, I want the U.S. Championship picture built up. Let's have multiple characters. I don't know what they're doing with Ilya right now. We got Ricky Saints possibly there. There should be multiple wrestlers clamoring for that particular belt because that's the one that's carrying the show. Your weekly episodic show. There need to be multiple characters that we care about trying to get to Penta for the Intercontinental Championship, and there should be multiple ones the same way for the U.S. Championship. And why not Baron Corbin? Listen, I don't speak against bald people, okay? Bald people have to stick together. We have to stick together. You hairy people can't be trusted. There's something you're hiding underneath all of that. We have nothing to hide right here. So, listen, as vice president of the Bald-Headed People Association, I support Baron Corbin. Hit in the days on all these hairy people, and let's see what happens. There's some people who act like they're hairy, but they really are bald. You need to come out of denial. That has nothing to do with this wrestling situation. I'm just saying.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your lace front is crooked. You need to come on out and be the bald person that you always have been. But yeah, shout out to Baron Corbin. We need somebody like that in the picture.
The return of Baron Corbin. Your thoughts on that, Councilman?
I refuse to allow somebody to my stuff.
Oh
goodness, man. Oh. I don't know. Yay for him, I guess. I mean, I'm glad he's like. I never want to see nobody out of a job that's a wrestler. It's just what are you gonna do with him? That's the $1 million question. What plans to happen, and are you going to utilize him right, or is this just another one of like, hey, like you signed Andrade and you signed Alistair, and 6 months later, hey, guess what? They're back in they're in AEW. So I'm just curious what to see, but I'm with James of that's what's making this show watchable. Please make this into something. You've given me several superstars that could really work this division well and actually build up this division. Because as you said, fur and all, that is the most relevant title right now. And it's not just, and the thing I will disagree, actually, you know what? I won't fully disagree with him, but as Carmelo said to Trick with it, it's like, yo, there's a lot of people walking around where the belt just on you for the sake of being on you. You're not making it relevant. Now, I'm not going to say Trick Williams is doing that. He's definitely making that U.S. title relevant, but he does have a point to a lot of these other folks that it's like, are you uplifting this belt or is it just on you? Like Austin and Braun Breaker. And we can also just point 2 things out. And I'll
go for it.
One, can we just end the tag team division in WWE and just go like 5 to 10 years without tag teams? Like, let's just kill it. Like, there's no tag teams anywhere on WWE, like at all. Like, they're gone. Montez Ford, the Street Profits have nobody to face on Raw except them 2. Get rid of them. Get rid of the tag team division altogether. And let's see what happens as single stars. Give just 5 years. Let's try it out. And then the second thing, isn't it funny how Maxine Dupree became a Paul Heyman girl before Jordan Grace?
Wow.
Just something to think about.
Wow. Okay. Well, you know, that leads me to an interesting way to wrap up the show. And that's this. And I don't know if we'll do this on a weekly basis because this could potentially get too dangerous. But what we're going to do, that's going to count for a weekly hot take for everybody. That's going to be your hot take. Sir Femi, do you have a hot take you'd like to share? Good Lord, this could be dangerous.
It could.
Why not?
I've been in a silly mood all day today, so I believe that the writers of every segment should be posted. We should know who wrote and produced all these segments. So we know where we could put our energy towards. Who is the brainchild behind this? You want to go unreal, right? You want to be unreal. You want to peel back the curtain, right? Yeah, let's peel it all the way back and see who produced this match. No, don't give me one of those 1 minute segments of the meeting. No, I want to see the meeting. I want to see the meeting. I want to see the results of the meeting. I want to see that. I want to be the unscripted Unreal, not the Unreal that you want us to see. I want the real Unreal. I want a hidden camera in the room. And then also, like they do the credits at the end, where you see Paul Levesque and Lee Fitting on the name of this stuff. I want to see it. So should I be mad at Braun Breaker or should I be mad at Chris Park? I want to see. Should I be mad at Roman or should I be mad at some other dude that was behind this? I want to see that, and I think that the decisions that are made and the way they go would be a whole lot different if we actually knew who the main person was behind all of that situation. So you don't have Triple H telling us, "Oh, it's just entertainment." Well, let me see who's entertaining me.
Okay. Well, all right. My hot take, I think, is going to be very, very simple. And that is, can we just not ever show Unreal again? Okay. I refuse to watch the show, and I continue to refuse to watch the show for a lot of reasons. But because I'll say this. Has the business really gotten better ever since you've peeled the curtain back? The answer is no. You tell us more and more, and we like it less and less. And we find ourselves no longer watching pro wrestling to watch the sport that we once called ourselves loving. We now watch it to see whether or not we got it. We got our predictions right. And then we're more concerned about what happens off screen, behind the scenes, everything else, and we don't even believe what's being presented in front of us. It has not helped the business at all. And then to say, well, you know, people know it's scripted, so let's just take them. You know what? People know that Toy Story is scripted, but we don't sit in the writing room. We don't sit in the room where they're animating. We don't sit in the room where they're trying to figure out, okay, what should Bonnie say and what should Buzz Lightyear say? We don't do that. We're satisfied paying however much money we have to pay to go into the movie theaters, watch the movie, enjoy it, talk about toys versus tech, and life being good. And then some of us will actually then wonder, okay, are our toys really doing these things while we're asleep? But you take the magic away and you tell them, this is how we wrote it. This is what we did. This is, now I'm watching the movie, analyzing the movie. I'm not even enjoying it anymore.
Right.
And we wonder why fans do what they do, because you took them too far behind the velvet rope. Now it's not the sport anymore. Now you want an Emmy for it. An ESPY's not good enough. You want an Emmy. Okay. Do away with Unreal. And I know that's probably an unpopular opinion in some circles, but do away with it. Because since we already know that reality TV isn't real, why should we believe that Unreal is actually real?
Right.
Okay. All right.
Man,
with that said,
all I'm going to say is this, Professor, with what you're saying. All I'm going to say is this. Do you got room in the car? Because I ain't watched a single episode either. I do not want to know how the sausage is made. I
don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to.
I seen one clip with LA Knight, and I knew this was not for me to watch. I was like, that angered me so much to see him have to sit there and take that. I was like, no, I'm good. Let me be delusional.
I want to believe you would get. How about this? A fan might be willing to pay larger prices if they actually believe in the magic. Think about this. Fans are willing to pay whatever they're going to pay to see whomever they're going to go see in concert. And they will pay extra upcharge for a meet and greet and VIP and all the stuff. And sure, some of these folks are lip syncing. And sure, there are backing tracks. And sure, there's stuff that as musicians and producers, we understand. But the public doesn't need to know that. Mm-hmm. Because then what are they paying for? They're paying for the experience and the entertainment, not for you to tell them everything. Mm-hmm. You've ruined the bit. Oh, okay. Sorry, Gerard. Don't say all that. All right. We're going to wrap up, guys. Thank you guys for joining us on this supersized edition of The Faction Reloaded. I would love to get your thoughts on what we've shared and then some. Here's how you can reach all of us on these wonderful socials. Councilman.
I just need you to go to willferrell.com and purchase your Sammy 216 shirts. That's all I want you to do. That's it, man. Just let's commemorate a successful 216 hours as champion. Illustrious, in the words of Stone Cold, illustrious title reign. 216 hours.
Wow. Sir Femi, how can they find you?
Yes. You're welcome, actually. You're welcome. My government name is James White. So if you can find me, then follow me. If you can't, then follow Gerard.
I don't mind. You can follow me, Bonnerfide, across all the social spaces. We've got a bunch of things out there from the podcast, Bonnerfide Conversations, to this podcast. We've got my work with Southern Honor on IWTV, my work with Ashe Wrestling at patreon.com/Ashe Wrestling. And then you could check out, I recently had a chance to call the third annual Beast Cup Invitational. It's an 8-man tournament honoring the late, great Shad Gaspard, part of the Love Alive charity in Jacksonville, Florida. That is available right now on Triller TV. So you can check that out. And all sorts of fun things are on the way. So be on the lookout. Again, follow me at Bonnerfide. Follow us here at The Faction Show on all the socials. You can subscribe to this podcast at Bonnerfide Media on YouTube. Check out all of our previous episodes. All sorts of fun when the gang gets together. So I appreciate everybody joining us in the chat and those who will watch later. You guys are absolutely awesome. And we'll do it again next week as part of The Faction Reloaded.